Um, so breath by breath is going to analyze every single one of our breaths, um, just at real time. Um, for most normal population, that's totally fine. And then you have mixing chamber. What happens is, whenever she's breathing and she's getting a sample through that sampling line going into the K5, those samples then go into, it's called a mixing chamber. Basically, the breaths will mix, and then you get one data point after 30 seconds. That first data point at 30 seconds then gets updated every 10 seconds, but those next 10 seconds are an average of the previous 30 seconds. So it's like they're compiling on top of each other. Um, but you use mixing chamber on, really, it's, I want to say, like, really elite level runners. Anyone up with a respiratory frequency that's going to be higher than 60 for like minutes at a time, that's who you would want to use the mixing chamber on. The last group I even went to that had consistent like runners that were in mixing chambers was at Brooks, because they were doing like marathon runners. But other than that, most general population, even at max, is barely hitting those 60s. So that's when you use the two different modes.
That's like the running shoe company?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was super cool.
If you,
But yeah.
sorry, if you run it on the lower one for like an elite athlete, will it be wrong? Like,
It
do you
won't be
have to
wrong.
choose?
Yeah, you do have to choose. It won't be wrong. The only thing is like trying to think of the best way to explain. I would say if you do end up running a test and that runner is like, let's say he ran 3, 4, 5 minutes plus with a respiratory frequency constantly over 60, from then on you would probably only want to use a mixing chamber on that subject. I guess there's not really a way to tell beforehand if that person is going to be running at those rates, right? It's kind of just like after the test you would know, like, hey, from now on I should switch to mixing chamber for this person. Unless you know that you're going to be testing someone who's like a really good runner.
That's what I was gonna say, if
yeah.
it was like we test someone we've already tested before, is there a certain like VO2 we should say,
It's not
Really?
necessarily a VO2. It's just so it's the analyzers aren't keeping up as well. So it's because of how fast they're breathing that the analyzer might not be keeping up. So really the only variable you want to look at is respiratory frequency. And you'd see that on the export for respiratory frequency. It's one of the columns. But if they're in the mid 50s and you get like 1 or 2 breaths in the 60s, they likely don't need it. Because it's only like 1 breath, maybe 2 breaths, right? But if they're like constantly above 60, then that's when you want to use the mixing chamber. So that's the difference between the two. Any questions on those?
You just select it and then it's fine. Nothing we special need to do.
No, you don't have to do anything different. The only difference is really the calibration at the beginning. So you either do mixing chamber or the breath by breath calibration. Someone went into the reference test, yeah. So like, let's say you have someone coming in that you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to use mixing chamber for them. Like let's say you tested them before. Just go ahead and run the mixing chamber calibration, and you should be good to go. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and choose breath by breath, and from here,
Will it tell us if we're not calibrated to the one we pick? Or we have to know?
I don't think so, to be honest
Okay.
with you. Yeah.
'Cause-
I don't think there's a warning for it. No.
Okay.
No. I'm gonna go ahead and click start. You'll have one last pop-up. You'll have what kind of test you're running, max, submax, or other. I'm just gonna click other. All it does, it's changing your predicteds, or actually your predicted information on the tabular results. You'll see it in a little bit. Data filtering, I just wait till the end. You can select your subject type. Once again, this will change your predicteds. So clinical or healthy.
since choosing max, sub-max, or other changes what we see after?
You can change it afterwards as well.
Oh, you can change,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
then it'll repopulate, still with the.
It'll just
data,
change
but
to
it'll
whatever, yeah. So
Okay.
at the end of the test, if like even healthy or clinical, if you want to change between a healthy subject or a clinical, like, let's say you chose the wrong one, at the end it'll still update the results. Yeah. From here, if you're connected to an ergometer, you'd select what it is. So just click Cosmet Treadmill. You could choose a protocol, and then you would select what port you're in. So the next thing is going to be spirometry. There's exercise flow volume loops. Usually I only see them like at PFT clinics. I don't know if you guys will ever do that, but you can. You would just have to input the spirometry here, and then from then on, during the test, you'd be able to do exercise flow volume loops. Heart rate source, we're going to use the metabolic cart because you have a strap on, right? Perfect. It should always be metabolic cart because it's going straight into the P5. And then blood pressure, we don't have anything, so I'll leave it as none. From here, I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Actually, let me just choose a protocol. Alright, if you want to go ahead and put the mask on for her, and then I'll start the test.
Quick question, what
Yeah.
was the department calendar?
I think it was Garmin, if I'm not mistaken.
Should already be done.
I can wait the 2 minutes or go ahead and click record just so you guys see what the difference is.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and click record, and then notice this guy's gonna turn solid blue once you start running the record button. So it'll wipe whatever's going on here, and it'll go into your protocol. So like let's say you're connected to an ergometer right now, it would shoot the treadmill to whatever elevation or speed you're going to. Which actually, if you guys have an RS-232 adapter
That one?
to a USB, do you have one? Yep. Wait, is it?
That's the one that works for all the Fitmates.
Oh, this is an Ethernet. Yeah. If you have one for a USB, like this end would be a USB,
Mm-hmm.
you can connect it into the computer and you can control it.
And you can change speed and everything from the computer?
Yeah, exactly. From here.
Or we'll just use terminal.
Yeah. Do you guys want her to do anything?
Yeah, she wants to run that.
Oh, okay, well, let's start it then.
Yeah. She's not fasting for no
Do
reason.
you wanna take over? Actually, I guess I have to leave this here.